Welcome to this presentation from the Urban Penguin. My name is Andrew Mallett and today we're going to install Red Hat 7, which is currently available in its beta format. As always, you can find these videos on theurbanpenguin.com. If you're on Twitter, you may follow me at The Urban Penguin, and on Facebook, come across and like my page. Again, it's The Urban Penguin. So I say we're looking at installing Red Hat Enterprise Linux 7, which came out in beta in December the 11th 2013. When we boot up, we get the installation screen here, so we could choose to install, test the media and then install, or we could move down to troubleshooting, and in troubleshooting it would even allow me to boot up and look at trying to repair the machine. First of all, if we move down to the troubleshooting menu and then just hit on troubleshooting, you can see that we then get the choice of installing with basic graphics, a rescue mode, running a memory test, booting from the local drive, and again we return to the main menu and we can move up then to the straightforward install. If I hit the tab key, we get the kernel parameters for the installation, where we could then put parameters in such as KS for specifying the kickstart or answer file. We won't use an answer file, so we'll just step through the installation. So you can see at first we're presented with our keyboard and language, and on my system these certainly auto detected OK, but partly that to do is with networking. If networking wasn't enabled, you didn't have a network card, it would have left it at a US keyboard. Warns you that it's a beta product, so not to install in a production environment. And then to be able to proceed, we have to answer everything with a warning. So we go in first of all to choose the installation source. So yeah, we're installing from the DVD, but of course we could set an FTP or HTTP or NFS location to install from a network. Then we can choose what to install. By default it's a minimal server install, and I'm just going to keep with a minimal, but we could put a server with a GUI, virtualization host, or a full desktop product. And of course on the right hand side we could then choose more individual lumps rather than the package groups of software. I'm leaving the networking as is, and if we move down to the storage, we can go in and verify what we want to do with our partitioning. So it's seen that we've got the one disk, got the partition scheme, so it's going to use LVM, but now we support the Btrfs. We could use standard partitioning, we could use LVM and thin provisioning. We're going to stick with LVM, and the partitioning scheme will use the XFS file system. So that's a bit of a change from ext4 that was the default within Red Hat Enterprise Linux 6. So we'll begin the installation. During the installation continues. You see we're formatting the file systems with XFS. It then will allow us to fill out the root password and create our user. So rather than ask us that at the beginning, we can be continuing with the install and then fill out our root password. It's warning me that it's a weak password, so it will want me to hit the done key twice. When we're creating our user, we can make this user an administrator, so that's adding them to the group wheel, which is automatically, or already if you like, supplied rights in the sudoers file. Same deal with the password. If it's detected as being a weak password, then you're going to need to click the done key twice. And we can allow this then to carry on through. Say with a minimal install, it doesn't take long. You can see it's 305 packages, whereas something like 1200 packages with a desktop install. So once we've finished, you'll be required to reboot. When we reboot, again with a minimal install, we've got then the text only console. So I'm logging directly in as root. One of the things that we're going to set up here is that we're going to set up a local repository so we can install from the DVD, so I don't need to register this with the Red Hat network. So I'm creating a DVD directory that I can mount my DVD to, and then I'm going to run through to my fstab file, and we'll put an entry in to mount /dev/cd-rom, and that will then point through to the /mount/dvd directory. It's going to be the ISO 9660 file system. I can mount it as read-only, so the read-only mount option, and we don't need to include it for the dumpfs. We'll do a file system check on boot, save those changes, and then if I run the command mount -a, it will read the settings and mount the DVD. So now typing the mount command by itself, looking towards the bottom of the command, we can see that the directory is mounted. We'll now move through to the repos D directory, so etc/yum.repos.d, and we'll create a repo file, a configuration file, that's saying that we can install software from Yum using the directory /mnt/dvd. So we'll create a file called dvd.repo. The file ending must be .repo. The repo name itself is set within the square braces, so we're describing the repo here. The name parameter that we put in next is more of a description, but I'm just going to have my name equals rel7dvd, so I'll keep it the same. And of course we've got to put the base URL, so this could be using file or HTTP protocol or FTP protocol, but here we'll be using file and then going through, and it is 3 forward slashes. So the method of access has the 2 forward slashes, but then of course the file system is /mount/dvd. We can set it to be enabled equals 0, which is turning it off, or enabled equals 1, that is turning it on. We could leave it disabled and only use it when we want by enabling it in our yum install command, but I'll leave it enabled here, and I'll just turn off public key checking so I don't have to reference the public key file for this. So I'll go out and save those changes. If I list those repos now, so if I do a yum repo list and all, we'll list the repositories that we've got, and we can see our repository listed. We're just missing on the right hand side of the screen that all of the standard ones are disabled until I enable my subscription, but of course my DVD is enabled. If I go through now and search for something, I should be able to retrieve software from my DVD. So we'll look at searching for Samba once I get my spelling correct on that, and we can see results coming back from the repository. This is now Samba 4, and we will look at Samba 4 on Red Hat 7 in later videos. So we've been able to run through the installation, and we've set up a repository to feed from the local DVD. During the installation, though, remember that our user Bob was set up as an administrator. If we run the id command as root, it shows me the details for root, but if we run the command id Bob, we can see then that Bob was added to group 10, the wheel group. The wheel group has rights through the etc sudoers file to be able to run all commands as the root user. Thank you, and I do look forward to seeing you back